What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. We have some news. It's not official yet, but it seems like it's trending in this direction. Um, the Saudi Arabian Gaming and Entertainment Authority chairman, Turkey Al Sheikh, God bless me for trying to pronounce that. It doesn't really matter, but I'll say the name to just say who said it. Apparently, there has been an announcement. There was a press release, and then it got pulled back because I guess it was supposed to go along with, the whole Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford fight that's happening this weekend. Um, it sounds like WrestleMania 43 in 2027 will be emanating from Saudi Arabia. I've hinted at this for weeks and months on end that there was potentially talk of being a second WrestleMania in addition to the actual WrestleMania. Now we're actually getting the real WrestleMania 2 years from now in Saudi Arabia. And everybody thinks that I'm just this big WWE apologist. This is awful. This is awful. This is everything that you don't want to see from the company that you support. And I can't say that I'm surprised because this seemed inevitable that this was going to happen. There's a lot of reasons, the moral reasons, and all the stuff that goes on with going into it's blood money. That's really what this is. And some of these people are going to attack me in the comments saying, Mike, you don't understand business. You don't understand this. You don't understand that. Yeah, I do. I understand that this is solely for money. That's the only reason to do it. And I understand the Saudi Arabian crowds have been much better in recent years since some of these shows have actually been better and kind of mattered in the more grand scheme of things. They've really done a lot of business out there, which is fine. But here's my problem and why I really hate this decision. And I understand that it's not official, but it sounds like this is going to happen sometime in the next couple of days in advance of this fight, Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez over the weekend. I hate this for the international fans, especially considering just a couple of weeks ago, you guys were in Ireland, you were in Paris, you were in Lyon, you were in England, and your first ever international WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi Arabia because you got $100 million more than you would have gotten from an entrance fee because of somewhere else. Like they just did this with John Cena's final match. He's not going to have it in Boston, but you want to know why? Washington, D.C. outbid. At some point, it doesn't have to be about money, okay? You're doing just fine. You're charging people out the ass with money, and you're charging an arm and a leg, and you're charging a down payment for people to go see these shows. You literally pulled WrestleMania after you announced it in New Orleans. You moved it back to Las Vegas because that gave you the most money. Why can't this be in a place that is deserving? Because I think London has long deserved a WrestleMania. John Cena went out in front of the world and said as much. You're going to tell maybe the greatest of all time that he's wrong? I thought France has showed out immensely well in the last 2 years, having premium live events. They had 30,000 people for a random end of August PLE. You're going to tell me that doesn't mean anything? Because Saudi Arabia, and I understand that there is a contractual obligation here, that doesn't mean they have to have WrestleMania, okay? You're giving them the Royal Rumble. That's fine, okay? Because at least the Royal Rumble has somewhat got, the Royal Rumble didn't go internationally, there's not a lot of international PLEs, SummerSlam went to Wembley, but it's just like, at what point are you going to stop selling out for blood money? And because then basically the fact is, because then I'll give you guys another reason why this frustrates me. So Mark Shapiro, who is the president of TKO, had a couple of really interesting quotes that he had on a podcast where basically he was talking about WWE lagging behind ticket profits and they still have work to do. So he says WWE is not where UFC is on its ticket yield, and we have some work to do here. Vince McMahon was pricing tickets for families and wasn't fully focused on maximizing the opportunity. Listen, I'm not going to be here to defend Vince McMahon, but one of the last WrestleManias under his regime and under the McMahon family regime before they sold it to TKO, I was able to go see 2 nights of WrestleMania for about $300. You're lucky to pay double that to just get into the stadium now. And now you're going to move it to Saudi Arabia because they're giving you the most money while also charging your fans an arm and a leg to go see shows. Like, listen, I get it. They're doing great. They're still getting full shows. They're still doing all these great numbers, which is awesome. But the product has dipped, and they are starting to and when the product dips, a lot of the things that were plaguing this company a long time ago when they were just doing this in the name of money, they're starting to pop up again. I don't care if this is in the name of money. WWE is doing just fine and trumpeting out all these metrics about all these records that they're breaking. Why do you need to go to Saudi Arabia? Because you need a couple $100 million. Why not wait even further down the road? Give an international audience that deserves it more than Saudi Arabia. Because we all know you're not going there for the audience. Come on, give me a fucking break. You're not going there for the audience. You're going there because they gave you way more money than anyone else. And you're overlooking a lot of the, ramifications of, what you're doing. Like, women, there is a huge issue, and there was a huge barrier from the first time that they went there to now, where, women weren't even allowed to perform on the first ever Saudi Arabia show. Now they're dressed up in bodysuits, and there's still a lot of torture and like a lot of this other stuff that goes on there. Like, it's just, there's a lot of gross things that go about this. And like I said, I've been willing to let a lot of things that WWE and TKO have gone because the product is doing so well. But there is a lot of things that have plagued this product this year. The John Cena stuff did not work out very well. And now on top of it, his last match is not going to be going in the same market as, the one that he grew up in and giving him a home time crowd. But hey, Bill Goldberg gets to go off on his own terms, and yet he complained about it. So this company is only concerned about one thing, and I've said this consistently on this channel. They're only concerned about dollar signs. And if AEW got their shit together, which they won't, this might actually be kind of interesting because then maybe they could kind of win over more people. They don't care either. So all this has done has really just exposed the greed and just it's just like it just said, it's really gross. It's corporate greed, and it's just, prioritizing the wrong things. Like, I thought that, the age of Triple H was supposed to be about, what the fans want. You can't, and I've seen a couple, there's a lot of positivity grifters on the internet who are like, man, they got paid $100 million more and they got paid so much. Guys, can you guys actually look at face value and not start to, be the pom-pom wavers of, this company and realize that this sucks for fans here in the domestic United States? So many people who want to go see a WrestleMania. Now you're going to Saudi Arabia. Like, what does that do for me? Like, okay, I get to watch WrestleMania a little bit earlier because it's probably going to be on at 10 in the morning out here on the West Coast. But what optically, here's what they've done in the last, since WrestleMania 40, which was one of their crowning moments. 41, they go to Vegas, charge way more than, they go on and put on one of their worst WrestleManias that they've put on since COVID. And then you proceed to keep charging people an arm and a leg and a mortgage payment and whatever, a car payment, whatever. And you've made it harder for people to go see shows. You go back to Vegas again for what? Because money. And now you're going to go to Saudi Arabia when there was rumors that they were going to go to London. There was rumors, and there could have been a very easy argument for them to go to France. But hey, let's go to Saudi Arabia because they're paying us the most money. Fuck this, man. Like, listen, I still am a fan of this company, but it's becoming much, much harder to support this place. It's the same like everybody talks about, hey, we're all about making money and we're all about doing this. Yeah, hey, let's bring back Brock Lesnar, who's got legal issues on his hands. Let's bring back Brock Lesnar, even though that's not going to make a goddamn difference in business. You're still doing well. Brock Lesnar's not going to change anything. So you bring him back, you do all these other things. Why not just focus on the product that you have at hand and trying to grow your audience? And then if you want to go internationally, go to an audience that showed you over the course of a couple weeks just recently that they're starved for content. For God's sake, AEW has been for their WrestleMania more to England than you have. So Saudi Arabia is better? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Seriously, this really pissed me off. It really pissed me off. So listen, it's not official yet, but it sounds like per PW Insider, per Sean Ross app, per Fightful, all these other outlets, this is happening. It's just the cat got out of the bag early. I'm not surprised, but I just think, it's really bad optics considering a lot of the bad PR that they've had this year, the negativity around ticket prices, Mark Shapiro basically saying all these things about, hey, we're going to keep charging more money and maximizing profit. Listen, if there was one thing that Vince McMahon actually, even though he really didn't give a shit about the fans, he made it easier for people to go see shows. It's now really difficult unless you are loaded on money to go see shows. And then, hey, fuck me if, I'm ever going to get to see a WrestleMania out here in Los Angeles unless they, pay out the ass because, hey, Saudi Arabia gets one. Cool. I mean, really? This sucks, man. It really sucks. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.